For a few years, the state's contracted non-emergency medical transportation company has made lawmakers concerned over the 10-year, $750 million agreement. Now, some lawmakers are banding together to make the message clear. In a bipartisan effort, Maine lawmakers have signed a letter to Governor Janet Mills calling for her administration to depart from motive care. The Colorado-based company has gone into bankruptcy since the contract began in 2023 after outbidding Penquis and Waldo Cap. The decision was later appealed, however, nothing was reversed. Now, about 130 lawmakers in the Senate and House signed a letter in response to complaints from constituents. The president and CEO of Penquis says Mainers cannot meet their needs if services are unreliable, and she hopes this letter speaks for itself.
The big three needs are always housing, childcare, and transportation. Like regular, everyday people need help getting to medical appointments, they need help getting to work. We have veterans and people with cancer, people that have mental health diagnoses that might need access to dialysis. It's the community simply needs help to get where they need to go, especially for critical medical appointments. In this moment, I deeply hope that Governor Mills hears 130 legislators and the changes that have happened and really considers reissuing this contract. It's so important for Maine people.
Senator Joe Baldacci sent WABI a statement on the letter saying, in part, "I was proud to join a bipartisan coalition of over 130 legislators from both parties. That alone should demonstrate to the administration the importance of this issue and the fact that communities and agencies serving seniors and the disabled need an administration that is on their side and is willing to take decisive action to protect vital services," unquote. Motive Care's filing for bankruptcy protection in August led lawmakers to ask the Mills administration to restart the entire bidding process while the company looked to shed a $1.1 billion debt. Although the company emerged from bankruptcy, lawmakers are still uneasy, calling for a rebid on the contract.